Greetings to Podcastville. It's Monday, April 8th. The Church of What's Happening Now is brought to you by Manscaped. Don't cut your dick off, fucko. The suffering ends now. With Manscaped, you could get it done without the pain. They got precision tools for your family jewels. Manscaped has redesigned the electric razor to keep your balls, your nuts looking fucking tremendous. You understand me? So right now, the church family get 20% off your first order when you use promo code CHURCH at manscaped.com. And if you order the perfect package, they'll also throw in a free travel bag, which is fucking tremendous. You could put fucking condoms in there and asshole grease, whatever the fuck else you want to travel with when you use code CHURCH. That's manscaped.com. Use promo code CHURCH for 20% off your first order. Keep your balls clean, cocksuckers. Summer's coming. The church is also brought to you by Hims. Have you ever looked at a photo of yourself from 5 years ago and thought, damn, I looked young. Whatever happened to that guy? Where did all the wrinkles come from? When did I start looking like my dad? Listen to me. Hims has anti-aging kits, a custom prescription cream tailored to your skin that keep you looking good. They got medication to help you with the little problem if you go on a date and you want to have that little oomph for you. And they can also help you with hair problems. You understand me? Hims is a tremendous company, so do me a favor. Order now and get $20 off your first month of Hims anti-aging kit. Lock in those looks now and get your first month of anti-aging for $20. See website for full details and safety information. Go to hims.com/JoeySC. That's forhims.com/JoeySC. Forhims.com. In fact, I'm going to give him a call myself. I'm getting old as a motherfucker. Kick this motherfucking mule, Lee. What's the story?
Oh, my God.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Finally.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you in a while since
That's
we were
right.
introduced at the Comedy Store,
Yeah.
but I've always been a fan of yours for many reasons, because Richard Pryor is everything to me. I was always scared of this meeting with you because I'm going to cry a couple times.
Oh, no. I appreciate that.
Yeah, he was everything to me. I mean, he saved me. He saved, when I heard these albums as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, I was blown away by the language.
Yeah.
I'm Cuban. They don't let you say shit. And my mom was very outspoken, and Richard was introduced to me probably, I don't know, when I was about 8, maybe 9.
Wow.
And I was obsessed. Like, that was it, and the main albums were The Niggas Crazy, Was It Something I Said,
right,
and Bicentennial Nigga.
Early laugh stuff.
That was just mind blowing for a guy like me. And I watched the documentary. Mauricio said you were going to go out and talk a little bit, and I really appreciate you taking the time out.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
First of all,
you.
without meeting you, I know how tough you are. If I was in a situation, I would call you because I know you show up with a fucking bat.
That's right.
And a gallon of milk, and just we go back to back. When you're a comic's wife, a real comic, never mind Richard Pryor, who had major league demons.
Yeah,
you're the toughest. You're one of the toughest women I've ever known.
Yeah.
When I watched I Am Pryor, the documentary, and I knew I Am Richard Pryor, the documentary, and I knew the story before. You left and came back for more fucking abuse. Not that he hit you or anything. I mean, the last time he
did hit
you
me.
left.
Yeah.
After he hit you, left. But it was just the ups and downs of the life of a comic.
Yeah.
And most importantly, the pain that he had. I really noticed it in that documentary.
Yeah.
That's the first time that while I watch something of Richard's, I always cry.
Yeah.
Sometimes I come here late night and I'll put on an album, Bicentennial Nigga, and I'll just cry.
Oh.
Because it's such a piece of my childhood.
I understand.
It overtook me from being a regular Spanish kid to being outspoken and cursing. And you remember the old Fig Newton commercials? Chewy, chewy, chewy on the inside. I would sing Jewy, Jewy, Jewy on the inside. All that shit came from Richard. Like Richard sparked my sense of humor. What year did you meet Richard?
Well, he sparked your creativity too, and your ability to, and your need to express yourself, and that's the beauty of Richard. I think Richard, changed creative culture in that way. It wasn't just comedians who were moved by him. It was a lot of people. It was actors and writers and artists, and because he spoke to the humanity in people, and he touched something in you very deeply. that allowed you to express yourself, stuff that needed to come out and you wanted to come out, but there was no way to do that. And you found the key, and Richard was the key that unlocked that door. I met him in 1977. I worked for him first. And
you just answered an ad one day?
No. He was a friend of mine, Lucy Saroyan, William Saroyan, the writer's daughter. She was a good friend of mine. And she was working for him. She was also fucking him. And she was a consultant on his NBC variety show. And she said, he's just bought this house in Northridge. We got to fix it up. He wants it decorated. I need help. Can you help me? And I've been working in Texas. I was on the road with a friend of mine singing and songwriting in clubs and stuff. And I got back and she said, you need a gig. And I met him. And the first time I met him, August 22nd, 1977, and I wrote about it, I fell madly in love. I mean, his vulnerability. And I didn't know much about his career. I'd never seen him doing stand-up. I knew he had this rep. Lucy told me he had this rep, and but I really was... I was captured by the man. I just was so touched by him. Of course, I'd come to work, and I'd come early to meet the workmen to do the house over. He'd come out every morning with a new woman, and I'm like, oh, he's got it going on, I didn't care. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. And one night, it was my birthday, he gave me an envelope of Coke, and those were the days, man, right? And it was good shit too. Let me tell you. And he said, you got to spend the night. I'm not going to let you drive back. I lived in Hollywood at the time, and Lucy came in with Coke rimmed nostrils. About dawn, sun was coming up. She goes, we got to get out of here. Richard pulled a gun on me. I said, well, I got to be here in an hour anyway. I mean, I got to work here. So I'm not going to go anywhere. Well, she never spoke to me again because Richard came in right after she took off, and he said, yeah, I pulled a gun on her. She, she wouldn't give me a blowjob. I mean, what can I tell you? I kind of giggled, and he said, listen, my house is torn up. All I've got, can you help? Can you stay? I said, oh, sure, I'll stay. Wild horses could not have dragged me away. I was there, and I was loyal to him. Even then, we were not dating. I was just adored him. He married Deborah in the meantime. He went through the NBC variety show. Richard's life in 1 week is like somebody living in Nebraska for 25 or 30 years. The shit that would go down in 1 week in his life was so fast and furious. I mean, you had to hang on for dear life to keep up, right? But, he married Deborah, and then he shot the car. Remember that incident? He said, you're leaving, but no, the hush puppies, bitch, you're not in my car. Bang, bang. Shot the tires, shot the engine, and she was in the car with her girlfriends. And I was back east visiting my family for Christmas, and I came back and was told, do not contact him. There's, he was in jail. I mean, there's drama going on. He called me, goes, well, what the fuck? Where are you? And again, we had not started, anything by then. And I said, well, I was told to stay away. He said, please come see me. And from then on, that was January 78, we were together.
And that he was huge in January 78.
Huge.
Just off albums and shit. Just off albums. Yeah. He's huge.
But I had never been to the Comedy Store. So we're dating. We go to Hawaii together. We come back, and we're out on the town one night, and we're on Coldwater Canyon on the way back to Northridge. He does a U-ey and says, I got a surprise. We pull into the Comedy Store. I'd never been to the Comedy Store. We walk in. I don't say a word. I'm like, where are we going? He goes, you'll see. He puts me seated next to Mitzi, goes up on stage, and starts talking about candle wax on the floor. That's how no-net Richard was. He would work so spontaneously, and he would woodshed. He was also so disciplined when he worked. So he started talking about candle wax on the floor, and out of that, he would spin like alchemy, this stories, and it would just come. And I would start taking notes just spontaneously. And every night we'd go to the store, and he would take a couple of pieces from the night before, expand on them, and woodshed, You know the term woodshedding.
Right.
And then the next morning, we'd sit by the pool and we go over the notes. And I'd say, Richard, you got to move more. Talk more about women and love. Women love it. And, and at the end of 6 weeks, he had live in concert, live in Long Beach. That was the first big one. The first big one.
Okay.
I mean, he had done Live and Smokin' at the bitter end. I mean, the Improv in New York.
With the fucking menu behind them.
Yes. That's some raw shit.
That's the one that set me over the top. When I started stand-up.
That's interesting.
I found that one, and I'll never forget going, this guy doesn't. And the funny thing is, you look at the prices on the menu.
Yeah.
25 cents for a hamburger, 10 cents for French fries. That's the one that fucked me up emotionally.
It's so interesting to hear you say that because every comic has their one. For you, it was live and smoking. For some, it's live in concert. For some, it's live on Sunset.
Well, for me, it was as a once I became, as a fan, it was live on Sunset.
Right.
As a comedian, he taught me what to do once I watched Live and Smoking.
Really?
Once I watched Live and Smoking, that one opened my eyes to the non-glamorous side of comedy. You always see curtains and this guy come up and bring you up. Richard, it seemed like Richard just went up there off the cuff.
Raw.
And somebody was taping him.
Yeah.
And it set me fucking on fire.
Yeah. Michael Blum filmed that. I bought that from him, so we own that now too. Yeah, thank God. Yeah, that's when I came back. I had to start coalescing all Richard's shit, his legacy.
So now what's going on in January of 78?
Oh, well, January 78. So it's rock and roll, man. I mean, it is, the Comedy Store every night. He realizes he wants to divest himself of those demons that made him shoot the car. And that was Richard's genius. He turned that scene, which could have been really negative. I mean, he was arrested, right? What was the line? He said, and then the cops came and they got guns too.
Yeah,
but they don't shoot cars. I went in the house because they don't shoot cars. They shoot.
Yep.
And he said, let's turn this into, that was Richard's genius. He would take anything bad or negative or painful, and which is what comedians do.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Right. That's what you're meant to do. If you're that honest, right? If you can be that raw with yourself and exposed, and then turn that into genius. Being exposed like that's really hard to do all the time. This is how I understand Richard more and more as I get older and as I look at him and his work. You're walking a razor wire every day. You know it.
Every day.
And sometimes you fall off because it's a goddamn struggle. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't make you bad. It just makes you human. You struggle. Yeah, you might do some bad things. Yeah, he hit me. Yeah, he did drugs. Yeah, he fucked around. Where that doesn't make him a bad man. Richard happened to be a really good man. He was a wonderful person. Everyone wants to talk about his genius, and I am more than happy to talk about his work, but I'm here to tell you also, he was a good person. He was generous, give you the shirt off his back, help anybody he could. I heard a story once about Adam Sandler. Fucking pissed me off. A homeless guy in a wheelchair was asking for money. He says, man, I have to work for a living too. You know what Richard would have done? Would have peeled off a couple of hundreds in a heartbeat. That's the kind of man Richard was. Even if that guy was maybe faking it, who knows? Didn't matter. All right, so get over on me. Who cares? He had such a spirit. Richard's essence was good.
He was a sweet guy.
He was a sweet guy. That vulnerability again that I talk of, and the pain that he had that never left him. And yeah, drugs, they were at certain points, they were his comfort. They comforted him, right? It's like a couple of drinks. You can't drink the bottle, but you can have a couple of drinks or a joint or whatever you do, but you can't tip over. And Richard tipped over, obviously. He went past that line, and that was only, he hurt himself more than anybody.
At any points in his career did he want to stop?
Stop.
The coke.
Oh, yeah. No. That was the thing that I was so impressed with when I watched him prepare Live in Concert. He was very disciplined. He would go to the store every night.
That's what I heard, every night.
And then the next day, as I said, go over the notes and work on what he was going to do that night. in the afternoon, he would take a nap. And then I'd pick a wonderful piece of clothing for him to wear. You know, I loved dressing him in beautiful clothes. And he would go out and he would do the same thing again. He would, woodshed, peel away what wasn't working, add what was working, find new material. And it was amazing. I mean, he was very disciplined. Yeah, he was doing coke, in a way, but it was not over the top.
Who was at the store in 78 when you walked in?
Oh, my God.
Just name some names for these
everybody
people.
was there.
Just give these people some...
Robin was there,
Robin,
Yeah,
Richard.
Robin, yeah. Letterman. They were all there. And it was incredible. And everybody was in awe of Richard. I don't care who was there with fame. Richard was the one who, when he got on stage, everybody watched him. And nobody wanted to follow him. Yeah, you know how that can be, right? Yeah. But it was, and Mitzi, of course, was thrilled to pieces. And you know what a character she was. Yeah. What'd you think of her memorial, by the way? I wanted to ask you.
I didn't go.
Why?
Because Cubans are like fucking Irish.
Yeah.
I get so emotional at funerals that I start smacking motherfuckers. There was a fist fight at my mother's funeral.
Oh, shit.
I went to another one when I was 14, and there was a fist fight at that one.
Yeah.
And then the last memorial at the store I went to was Marilyn Martinez, and I threatened Jeff Valdez that night and almost smacked the shit out of him.
Oh, my God.
So I have bad blood with a couple comics that I knew were going to be up there.
Yeah. Jeff was there. He spoke.
Right.
Yeah.
I cherished Mitzi. Mitzi was like a mother to me, but I knew if I would have gone down there, I would have smacked somebody.
It was disappointing. Yeah.
And I heard that he was there and he caused the scene. So
it was disappointing. I was supposed to speak on behalf of Richard in the big room, and I was cut out the way a lot of women were. And so I went in the OR and I said to, who's Dice's girlfriend? She kind of runs the show over there.
Oh, Eleanor.
Yeah. I said, Eleanor, let me get up and say some shit, because this is Richard's favorite room anyway. The
right,
OR
the OR was
that was Richard's.
That's my fucking, that's it.
That was the room he adored. So I said, let me say some shit. Well, after she let 89 people ahead of me, of course, I got on and there were 3 people left in the audience, which, I kind of felt insulted on behalf of Richard and Mitzi, because they had a serious bond. Not recently, but I found out that they had fucked, and which was very interesting to me.
Richard fucked everybody.
Yeah, he did.
And the thing I love about you is that you knew it and you accepted it. You said, there's nothing I'm going to do with this fucking animal. Yeah. He's an animal. Yeah. He's a fucking animal. When he gets off stage and he does what he does, he's going to fuck, he's going to snort. That's what's going to keep him in there.
That's right.
That's what's going to keep him there.
Yeah.
For me, I was not a good-looking guy, so I couldn't fuck a lot of people. But for him, that's who he was, and you accepted him. The documentary, you've spoken about it for years. You're like, that's who, because you loved him.
And I knew he loved me.
He loved you.
I know he loved me. He called me one night from Hooker's house and said, Jennifer, I'm here with this woman. I'm telling her how much you mean to me, how much you love me, baby. I said, can you come here and tell me? But I knew it was part of him that he probably would never, forego. He would never give that up. And did it hurt me? Sure, it hurt me, but it never devastated me.
You looked at it for what it was. It's part of the fucking game.
It's part of the game. It was pussy. I get it. It wasn't. But I knew he loved me. And I'd been around the block some. I'd been with some interesting guys, right? But I never felt loved.
He was a nice dude, Warren Beatty.
Warren was a good guy.
He's a good dude. I did one of his movies, and he was a director.
Yeah.
It was on last night, and I saw that.
What movie?
The last one he did that he directed about Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes, yeah.
So I was one of the gangsters that was supposed to throw him out of the hotel and shit. But he talked to me, he was a gentleman. I was in awe. This is shampoo.
Yeah.
Explain to people who the fuck Warren Beatty was in 1970. They don't know.
He was the man.
And he was slinging more dick than Richard. He was slinging more dick than Richard.
Honey, he did. They were friends,
Oh, Richard was friends with everybody.
Yeah.
They all...
Yeah.
I think Richard drew people to him. You made a comment a couple months ago that destroyed me on the internet. It didn't destroy me, but that week, 2 articles that come out about him.
Oh, Brando?
About Brando.
How
did you guys meet Brando at the store?
Well, actually, the truth is that I just found out from a friend of mine where they met, and it was at Red's Club on La Brea before I knew Richard. Because people are saying, how do you know that for a fact? Well, no, I wasn't there, so I don't know it for a fact. But I can tell you this much. If Quincy says it, because Quincy doesn't pour the tea like that, you know? And, well, Q's taking so much shit for that. I mean, he still is taking shit for it, for saying that, you know, talking about Marvin Gaye. And listen, you know, Richard loved pussy. There's no question about it. He wasn't gay. Hey, you know, sometimes a mouth is a mouth is a mouth. What are you going to, you know, listen, what I said was, it was the 70s. When you snort enough cocaine, you fuck a radiator and send it flowers in the morning. You know. So, but Richard didn't have a lot of shame about it. And I think that came from his childhood, you know, when he saw everything was allowed, right? Everything went on in that whorehouse, right? He was also molested as a kid. And that's like another whole other topic. But, you know, Richard didn't carry a lot of shame about it. I mean, look what he said to the Hollywood Bowl. Oh, shit, yeah.
He had told me about that a couple years ago, and then I saw it in the documentary, and I almost passed out.
Yeah.
He's like, I've sucked a dick before. What did he say? He's like, I've sucked a dick before.
I've sucked a dick, yeah.
But you faggots aren't nothing. Like, where were you?
Yeah, where were you when Watts was burning? You know, he was pissed off.
He was pissed.
And there are a couple of different stories about it, but the one he told me was he saw the locker group, the dance group, the lockers being mistreated with some bigotry and racism in the dressing rooms, and it really pissed him off. And it was supposed to be, it was titled Evening of Human Rights, and he realized that, oh no, this is all about gay rights. So what's going on here? And they're mistreating some black people here, and he really got pissed off, and he just let him have it. You know, I mean, that's Richard. That's vintage Richard.
That's vintage Richard. That's what you're supposed to do.
You know, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to tell the truth. So I suck some dicks. What's the big deal? You know, I mean, God bless him.
You know, I loved, out of this documentary, what I really loved about I Am Richard, that they showed Richard starting off and kind of navigating to the Cosby thing. That's a man I can't fucking stand.
Yeah.
I never fucking stand him. I can't stand him. I like the one album because he talked about Buck Buck, and we played Buck Buck as a kid in New York City when I came from Cuba. That's a game that you stand on the wall, and then everybody holds their waists, and you go with your ass out, and then so there's 5 people, and then 5 people have to jump on the human chain and break it. So you pick the weakest person. Who's the weakest person? And you get on top, and then you jump on top of me, and then we start beating that person. Or if it's a woman, we would squeeze her tits, you know, until
God.
And then the chain breaks, and then you do it again.
It sounds like a great game.
I like, and we played hot peas and butter. Go get your mother. You gotta hide a belt.
Oh my God!
And then you're walking. I'm like, you're hot. You're hot. You're hot. So if there's kids down the corner and you get the belt, you get to whip them all the way to base with the metal belt. Oh yeah, we got down in New York City in the early 70s. So that's the only reason why I like Cosby. But I think that part really was for comedians to know that, yeah, you play the game. The first 6 or 7 years of comedy,
that's right.
You play the game. You play this fucking stupid, safe game. That's what, right. Especially when you come here.
Yep.
The fucking agents tell you, well, you have to go up there and paint a picture of your sitcom. So, like when MySpace came out, you know what my first reaction was to MySpace? I'm like, I wonder if Richard Pryor was alive. Would he go home and get on MySpace? No. He'd be snorting coke and getting his dick sucked. So I'm not getting on MySpace either. But then social media took over and you had to. But I like the part that one day he said, fuck all this.
Yeah.
Fuck all this nice guy with a suit and a tie.
Yeah.
You know, trying to be fucking Martin Luther King Jr. up on stage. I'm going to fucking go for it.
Yeah.
And he started talking about drugs and the wino. That wino meets Dracula.
Yeah.
That's something that's like...
Well, that's a pivotal point when he goes to Berkeley. He walks off stage in Vegas.
Right.
And that's why I love the documentary, too.
I love that, too.
Because it really shows his evolution as an artist, his growth, and how he became Richard Pryor. I Am Richard Pryor. That is... We all want to know, where was it? What was the key? And the key was Berkeley. It was the first time he was hanging out with smart black motherfuckers, too. I mean, Ishmael Reed and Cecil Brown and the Panthers. He saw that there was something else besides this, the one-trick pony, the jokes and the bullshit at Vegas. And he was making a nice living. So for this young kid to finally kind of, follow in Cosby's, by the way, I agree about Cosby. Can't stand him. And what I say about Cosby is clean on the outside, dirty on the inside. And Richard, dirty on the outside, clean on the inside.
Different, yep.
And that's the difference. Oreo cookie, too. I mean, come on. He's really, does not a truth teller, that man.
Well, I didn't like that years later when I got into comedy. He did something in Colorado, and I was in the room. I walked in, and I was unsure if I was going to say anything to him. And he started talking about dirty comics, how they're not really comedians.
Oh, God.
He was on that kick. Meanwhile, he's dosing women with fucking Quaaludes. Meanwhile, in 87, one of the girls from his show, Lisa Bonet, did a sex scene with Mickey Rourke, and she had him fired. He had her fired from the NBC show. This is to let you know the fucking hypocrite.
The hypocrisy
that fucking Cosby was all the way. Lee went down there to see him, and I was kind of pissed at Lee. Like, don't give that fucking... This is before the rape allegations.
Yeah.
Lee paid a yardstick and went to San Diego, and I'm like, don't go see that fucking guy.
Yeah.
He's an embarrassment to fucking comedy.
Well, he started lecturing everybody.
Yeah.
Ebonics. Why is everyone talk real English? I mean, and Hannibal Buress, he was the one. That brother was the one who finally just said, why are we listening to him? He's a rapist. Bam! That caught fire, didn't it?
That caught fire.
That little shitty guerrilla video that somebody took, grainy, fucked up video, that just caught fire. The poor guy, I think it marked him too. Do you know what I mean? I think he got love-hate for that. I think a lot in the black community, no matter, they can see some, it's like what Trump says, I can kill somebody on Fifth Avenue. His base wouldn't give a shit. It's the same thing about Cosby. And sometimes African Americans, look at Jackson, right? I shouldn't go down this road, I know. But,
no, this is what we do here.
I mean, it's just, sorry, guys, but right is right and truth is truth and wrong is wrong. So, if somebody's wrong and they get called out, they got to deal with it. They got to deal with the truth. And boy, I tell you, that Cosby, he's doing a hard time.
Jennifer, did you smell his pain?
Richards?
Yes.
Oh, God,
Did you smell it?
Oh, still. I still do. He just went through so much. He suffered. That's why I was so in love with him. I mean, he wore it all. It was right there for you to see. And the way he would connect with everybody. I mean, the rednecks. Richard Pryor, I mean...
People didn't like black people. The KKK listened to Richard Pryor.
That's right.
Deep late at night, they would listen to Richard Pryor.
That's exactly right.
Richard Pryor was the one now. What killed me, back to pain, like I saw my mother. My mother had to leave her daughter in Cuba, my sister. And my mother would be Richard Pryor all day, suck my dick. Let's do a blast. Let's do this. But about 2 a.m., that's when they couldn't fake the funk no more. That's when Richard pulled out the guns. 2, 3 a.m., that moment when you got up to go to the bathroom, that pain would show up. You'd come out and see. I still have it.
Yes.
But that pain is what drives a great comic.
Yeah.
The more the pain, the better the fucking comic. And if they touch on it, like when I drive to the Comedy Store at night, I don't put music on. I go into my thoughts and I go into painful moments for myself. My father dying, finding my mother on the floor, the first time a girl told you she cheated on you. You dip into those places.
Truth.
Things that really, truths that you found out about yourself, that you're not. All that pain is what makes me go up on stage and be a fucking animal.
That's good.
But I got that, and I noticed in all the documentaries I've watched, Richard wore his fucking pain on his sleeve.
Yeah.
Richard's pain was right there, and I think I do the same at times.
Yeah.
Like I feel it. I dated my wife for about 1.5 years. Can I tell you that? I thought she was okay. I liked her a lot until. My wife is naive as can be. She's from Tennessee. She's Irish. And she figured me out one night. She said something to me and nobody had ever said. She said, I could tell that you were raised without a mother. I didn't know whether I want to kick her in the stomach or kiss her. But that opened up that just made me a good comic. When she said that to me, I had 2,000 friends that never brought that up. Yeah. And I always saw that with Richard, like in his movies, those little pauses. And there's a video of him that he's coked out to the gills doing an interview.
I hate that.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
I have those moments of manic.
Yeah.
Where you can't control what comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
The pain is too much,
Yeah.
and I really don't give a fuck. It's like the night he went to the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
He didn't give a fuck.
No.
He didn't care about the consequences.
No.
And that's what a comic does.
Yeah.
We do what we do, and there's no consequences.
Yeah.
There's no consequences.
No.
We just did it. Now
Yeah.
what, bitch?
Yeah.
Make the next move. What's
That's
your
it.
move? You got no move? Then I'm going to keep doing it.
That's it. That's it.
That's what was interesting about Richard that I really always loved. Even when he did that, we were talking about that thing with the lighter and
Yeah.
live on the Sunset
Yeah.
Strip. I know what you motherfuckers been saying and shit.
Yeah.
This is
The
Richard
match,
Pryor walking
yeah.
down with the theater. I still remember that. The
Yeah.
whole movie theater died.
Yeah.
He threw the shit up. He just turned stand-up around. He
Yeah.
just did something that was...
He did.
Did you get to meet Freddie Prinze?
I never met him.
He was
No.
gone already?
Yeah. Yeah, he was gone. What year did he die? There were... Richard's guns terrified me. I mean, I didn't like guns around, but Richard had guns.
He died in 77.
77.
I have guns, but I
Yeah.
don't keep them accessed.
Richard pulled a gun on me one time.
Yeah, because that's why I will not put a gun
shit happens,
in
man.
my waist.
Yeah.
Because I will pull it out
Yeah.
by mistake. And,
By mistake.
yeah, something
Damn,
happens.
yeah.
The schedule's not on time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's about the smallest thing.
Yeah.
It's not, Richard got manic about the smaller things.
Yeah. Yes.
It's not the big things
No.
that bother you.
Yeah.
It's the small things.
Yeah.
That's when you look at them and go, why are you going crazy over this? You can, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. That's our mentality.
Yeah.
That's our little comedian. We have flaws as
Yeah.
comics.
Yeah.
Musicians have flaws. We all have little flaws. Richard brought them up. Richard
Yeah.
wasn't scared of exposing them.
No. No, the more flaws, the better.
When did you meet Paul Mooney?
Shortly after, I mean, I met Paul when I was in that period of time when I was working for Richard. He would come out to the house, you know. He was always, you know, bitchy. You know, Paul was Paul. I told you before I had a love-hate thing with Paul, you know, because I saw sometimes how he, well, let me tell you, the last time I saw Paul, Richard was being honored at the Directors Guild. And he's in a wheelchair, and Paul came in and was unkind to Richard, I'll just say that. And didn't come to his funeral. The love-hate thing, I think, was always somehow in balance, but at some points it went out of balance, and Paul would become very jealous of Richard and bitter. I mean, you know his comedy. He was, you know, he'd clear the room. I mean, Mitzi had to blackball him from the store. How many times? Oh, my God, at least 20 times. You know, and then she'd let him back in because he could empty a room. I mean, not to say that some of his stuff wasn't great. It was. But he, you know, he would
pick at you. He would pick at you a little bit.
Yeah.
He would pick at you.
I mean,
that was his genius, though.
Yeah.
That was his other genius.
Yeah.
Like that he would not pick on you. He would try. He would push the line.
Yeah. Well, the race thing. He would really go after you for the race thing, you know, and it was sometimes just out of balance and out of whack. You gotta laugh with it too, man. You know, that's what Richard was great at. He pulled the covers off black people, same as white people, you know, and he made you laugh at it too. Yes, there were some angry stand-up routines, angry comedic routines Richard did regarding race. But my God, it was that stuff was insightful, you know. I just wasn't a Paul Mooney fan, you know. I wasn't because I loved Richard too much, and David Banks on the other hand, I love David Banks.
I love David Banks.
Is
David still alive?
No.
David Banks said the funniest fucking thing.
He's a funny motherfucker.
Ever up at the store. He would have the cocktail. David Banks was supposedly Richard's manager, correct?
Yeah, at one point. Yeah.
David Banks started coming around the store when I was a regular. Well, he had been going up there. And I went to the store one night, and he's up there with that little glass. He would have that little glass of whatever the fuck he drank with his ice cubes.
Right.
And he would jiggle the fucking glasses. And one night, Arsenio, Paul, Eddie Murphy, and Johnny Gill we're at the store by the light, by the Comedy Store light.
Right.
And David Banks and Arsenio, I think. I didn't say Arsenio. Arsenio, Eddie, Paul, and David Banks goes, Cuba, watch this. He walked over to me, he goes, so when are you niggas doing the Queens of Comedy tour? And the fucking, he sucked the air out of the motherfucking.
He hit the nail on the head, huh?
I sat there and went,
oh, shit.
Like, there was so many things I laughed at with David Banks and Paul Mooney. I remember one night, some white dude pulled up behind with a convertible and music really loud. And when he stopped the car, Paul Mooney looked at me and he goes, what a fucking shame with these white motherfuckers acting like Negroes. And he turned around and walked in. I was fucking dying. I was like, I never heard that before. But Richard, the documentary, that's what I stuck out the most of, was how much you loved him. And I know what it takes to really love a comic.
Yeah.
I met my wife, and we were like kind of off, and I tried that comedy, suck my dick routine, and she didn't play for it. And then I had to call her and take her on a date, and I didn't have enough money to take her on a date. And I called her up one day like at 11 and woke her up, and I said, I'm coming over to eat. And she made like fucking corn dogs with red beans. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? But I was so hungry. I was a starving comic. I had to eat it. But that's what made me fall in love with her. She, out of all the women I was dating at the time, she always
cared.
Yeah, she kind of just had the same thing you had for Richard.
Yeah.
And I could see in your eyes when, you fucking were Scott Clear. And you came back for more.
I did.
Twice, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I got to go to the bathroom real quick. Keep asking.
Yeah, I came back. Richard recycled women, right? So after we divorced in 82, I moved back to New York. And we stayed in touch the whole time, I'd see him when he came to New York. He tracked me down in Paris one time and said, I got to see you, please. And I flew to LA, and he picked me up, and he had little booties hanging from the mirror. I said, what the fuck are those, Richard? And he said, oh, I just got this girl pregnant. And I knew Richard. Oh, shit. You asked me to come back from Paris so that you could flaunt these little booties? What the hell? And, of course, that was Flynn. And he married her. He actually married her twice, too. But when people want to know which wife I am, I say the best one.
Where did you guys have your first date?
Oh, that first date was actually before he shot the car, when I was working for him. He said, by the way, I've got to go to this thing with a United Nations event. Would you like to go with me? And it was at the Beverly Wilshire, or not the Beverly Wilshire, the Beverly Hilton. And I went on the date with him, and David Franklin, his manager, and he was fucking Lynette McKee at the time. So the four of us had a double date. And on the way home, it was very nice. It was a very polite, stuffy dinner. And on the way home, Lynette McKee started making white jokes. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, the tension was so thick in the car. And he walked me to my house, and he apologized. He said, I am so sorry for Lynette McKee making those jokes. And I said, it's okay, Richard, don't worry about it. Talking about my first date with Richard. And it was very sweet. It was like a real date, He picked me up and dropped me off, and had to apologize for Lynette McKee's racist comments. And he was just a sweet motherfucker, And as I said, I've been around the block, and I just, basically I felt kind of tired of it all. I'm like, I wanted love. I was looking for love. And I found it in Richard. And what I found about myself when I came back, I mean, first of all, the 80s, we were back and forth a lot, right? And then in 89, he did See No Evil in New York, and I worked with him on that. And I said to him, Richard, why are you walking like an old man? Then that's when he told me he was diagnosed with MS. At any rate, in '94, he was in New York doing a something at the Apollo. I went up to see him at the Helmsley Palace, and he was drinking, water glasses full of vodka and pills lined up. And I said, Richard, you're going to die. He goes, oh, he said, I'm in trouble. And Deborah was in the room, that wife from before. And she wanted me to go downstairs and get the white lady price for a diamond ring. That was Deborah. She was all about her jewelry. And I went downstairs and got the white lady price. And Richard bought her this ring. And I'm looking at this scene thinking, you can't make this up. But, he's drinking and pilling and the locust had descended, right? And he said, Jenny, I'm in trouble. I need help. Would you come back? I said, whoa, I got to think about this. This is the summer of '94. Actually, it's spring of '94. And I took a couple trips back and forth. I talked to my father, who was an attorney. Dad's gone now, but brilliant attorney. Loved Richard, by the way. Kind of cut out of the same piece of cloth. And I thought long and hard about it because, it was never going to be easy with Richard. But when I came out and I saw more of what was going on in that hotel room at his house, he wasn't eating. He was on an IV in his bedroom, and there was a cook cooking 3-tiered cakes, and everybody walking out with the food, and bitches counting money like it was Vegas. I'm thinking, what the fuck is this? And I realized I had to come back. I loved him, and I couldn't watch this. I found out about my own profound sense of loyalty. Besides the fact that I never stopped loving him, I couldn't let him go down like this. And he had guns hidden everywhere. There were guns under sweaters in his closet, guns under the bathroom sink, guns under his pillow. I mean, fucking brand new Berettas in the box and shit. I didn't know anything about guns except I hate them, right? And I'm like, what the fuck are these guns? And I knew that Richard intended to go through all his money with all these horrible people just going through it, that he was going to kill himself. I knew that. And I said, not on my watch. I'm coming back, Richard. I am coming back. And I came back in the summer of '94, a couple months after I had made this decision. And it was such chaos. And it was just 2 years of putting things in order. And one of the first things I did was take all those fucking guns and that fucking ammunition. Took that ammo down to Ralph's one morning, put it in the dumpster at 4 a.m. One of his bodyguards said, that was good ammo. Why did you do that? I'm like, what? Good ammo? Excuse me? What does that mean? So I took all the guns, which, by the way, were all in their box, brand new. I mean, every kind of gun. And I went down to the BB gun shop. It's no longer, but in the Valley, I sold them out of the back of my car. Guy said, you can't sell them in the shop. You can sell them out of your car, lady. So I went and I sold them. I did a transfers legally, but I got rid of those fucking guns because I knew what was planned.
Was the guns because of the cocaine paranoia?
I think,
or just the natural paranoia?
I think it was kind of a natural, embedded paranoia that he had. I think it was a macho thing. I also think he had plans for those guns. I know he did. So I came back and I fought like hell. I got rid of all the riffraff. I lowered the child support payments. That's the way they all came at me, Flynn had a trip for 20 people planned, first class to Maui, canceled. Deborah had a condo Richard was going to buy for her, $325,000, canceled. Richard needed his money to live, right? So I closed the Bank of Pryor. And let me tell you something. I'm so proud of that because it took some balls. Let me tell you, I got threatened by the housekeeper. I know people who can have you killed, she said. I said, I bet you do, bitch. 911. Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a restraining order on some of those people. One of the wives, I won't say who. I mean, it was rock and roll.
How many people were out with their hands out? 200.
Oh, man.
200.
Man. Oh,
and he was such a good guy. He'd give it to you.
Easy peasy. Peter Bogdanovich, the director. I found a loan, a piece of paper. I called him up. I said, you owe Richard some money. You pay up. Johnny Gill, money. They all had their hands out. And Richard was sick. And he was like, and people who were smarter than me, supposed to be watching the farm, were not. I'm talking business managers. I'm talking lawyers. They were stealing too. I fired all of them. The business managers, he begged me. He said, fire that business manager. He's stealing from me. And the lawyers who had him, $65,000 retainer a month for what? He's not working anymore like that. Yeah. What the fuck is this money just hemorrhaging? My father helped me navigate a lot of that too. I had to get lawyers and new people on board. But that's when all the wives and children went crazy too. Because I closed that bank like bam, boom, bam, closed, finished. The money's for Richard to live, motherfuckers. And I knew the plan was Richard was going to run out of money and then he was going to off himself. Not on my watch. And he lived 11 and a half more years in dignity and love.
Now, when I got into comedy, it was to live like Richard. It was to live like Richard. I wanted to get off the coke in 2001. And it took me 6 years because I was scared that I would lose the funny.
Yeah.
I was scared that I would lose my craziness. I was scared that I would lose that age, that edge. I was scared of so many things. But when I just couldn't carry that.
Yeah.
I've read Richard's books. I've read, Hollywood Henderson.
Yeah.
Remember Hollywood Henderson?
Unbelievable story, though. He won the lottery twice.
That motherfucker.
I'm still friends with Connie Nelson, and she hangs with him. And she said, Jennifer, he's turned out to be the nicest guy because Richard used to run. We used to hang with him. Yeah, twice.
He said that in one of his books, he said that he would go and pick the Pointer Sisters.
Yeah.
And Richard up at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And they would freebase for fucking days. Oh. I mean, they were the kings of the freebase. Yeah. But I also heard a really weird thing. I want you to clarify. I don't know if you were around. You were around. Belushi.
Yeah.
They said that De Niro and Robin went to the store.
True.
To pick up Richard. But Richard had left already?
Yeah.
So then they walked over to Chateau.
Thank God Richard wasn't there. Richard was not at the Chateau.
No.
No, thank God. No, that was Robin's and De Niro's thing. Yeah. That was horrible.
That was horrible.
That was really awful. We all heard about that. We all heard that tea very quickly and in real time, didn't we? I mean, that shit spread like wildfire.
What's that?
That's truth about Belushi and how he died.
How he died.
And that Kathy girl, the dealer.
So it was, when you met Richard was not freebasing yet.
No.
Oh, that started when? Like in the 80s?
Thing.
That started in the 80s?
That started, yeah. The fire
83?
was June 9th, 1980.
Okay, the fire. So he was already freebasing.
So he started that when he was working on, right before Stir Crazy, he started that. And I came into the house one day, and I'm like, what's that smell? The first time he did freebase, he lit the mattress on fire. I mean, Richard was an arsonist from back in the day.
Me too. I love arson. I love it. I should have been born Jewish.
I'm telling you.
I could light shit on fire like anybody. I love it.
He started fires when he was a kid. I mean, that, but I said, Richard, and we dragged the mattress into the bathtub. That shit. And I did that with him for about 10 days. And I'm like, I'm out. I can't, that shit. I could snort. And I could keep that under control. This shit was like, what kind of high is this? It's like someone took a mallet and goes, whap. You're just non-compos mentis. You're not thinking, you're not aware. I said, I got to get out of here, Richard. And anyway, I wrote a poem to Richard. And I said, Richard, this is not working. I said, the way you made love to me was a shame and a disgrace. Your ice-cold heart chilled my soul. Your woman is Freebase. Freebase had moved in. That was the woman. It took my place, which broke my heart. And I got out. He said, take all that jewelry off, bitch, on your way out.
When did you leave the first time?
Well, there were a couple of incidents that I'd go away for a few days and I'd always come back. But this was the biggest thing. I had to go. And I asked Jim Brown for help. And, Jim kept giving me lip service and, no, it's okay. Just, go away. And I came out. The producer of Stir Crazy called me and said, Richard has to shoot some pickups. They were back in town from Tucson. Oh, my God, the scenes in Tucson with the feds. Oh, Lord. But we're back in town. He had to do some pickups, and he refused to do them because somebody had thrown a watermelon, a member of the crew. And Richard, it was a real racist thing to do. So Richard was furious. So I went out to the house, and there was a mound of cocaine on this antique child's desk. And thank God I wasn't doing anything at the time, because if I had, I would have said, fuck you, Richard, and I would be dead. I woke up in the morning. I stayed the night. I woke up, and he was blowing through that pile. going through that, but smoking, going through the pile. And I said, I got to get out of here. He said, nope. And he grabbed me by the throat and he was going to strangle me. Somehow I got free. I sat next to him and I just talked him down. He said, you're going to die this morning. And I had a cross around my neck and I held the cross and I looked out, failed Catholic that I am. And I said, God, give me the words. And I said, Richard, just calm down. It's just like Law and Order, you know, when they calm a person down. Just give me the gun. It's okay. Calm down. Everything's going to be okay. And he calmed down, and I made a beeline for my blue corduroy pants. I picked them up, and I left. Went to the kitchen, and Richard said, can you bring me some oxtails and beans? I did. I went into the kitchen, got some oxtails and beans that one of his aunts was cooking, and brought them back. But the next time I came back to the house was when he set himself on fire. And he said, it's going to happen. He said, you need to leave because it's going to happen to you, too. And Richard never made an idle threat. Never. And I thought, okay, you know, so I went to the kitchen and there was a bodyguard there and a couple hangers on, an aunt or two. And I said, Richard's going to hurt himself. And they said, get out of here, little crazy white girl, you know, get out. By the time I got back I had an apartment I had taken in Beverly Hills. I called the house. I called Jim. I said, Jim, he's going to do something. He poo-pooed me, dismissed me. Called the house, and Auntie answered and said, what? And I said, I'm just checking. And all of a sudden, she's screaming. Richard's then running through the house on fire. The phone drops. Yeah. I made a beeline for the hospital. Hollywood Presbyterian he went to first. And I talked to the doctors, and I said, he's loaded on coke, and he's just vodka and freebase. Don't kill him. You know, don't overdose him with morphine. And the family was there furious with me because I was telling them the truth. And then he was moved to the burn center. And then, you know, the rest is history. I mean, it goes on from there. Yeah, he lit himself on fire. He poured that 190 proof rum over himself and torched himself. He said, there's no way out for me.
I dipped motherfucking chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
In the milk.
In the milk, and the ship blew up.
That's the comedy.
Yeah.
You know, that's the comedy.
That's
he
right.
didn't hide shit.
No.
He let you have it, and then he fucked with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, motherfuckers were really happy.
Yeah. I
was hungry. And when I dipped the chocolate milk or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
You know, that's...
Yeah.
I was a young kid, and I was just distraught.
Yeah.
Like, this guy I love.
Yeah.
He's doing... What they were doing at my house, Richard Pryor was doing, except that my mom wasn't freebasing. Mm-hmm. She died in 79. Thank God she never got to that freebasing point.
Oh, man.
But she was snorting. She had a bar. She was Cuban. She was an alpha woman. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She beat up the husband, my stepfather.
Whoa.
Threw a cigarette at her one night. He waited till he went to sleep. She took a Catholic figure and broke it over his fucking head. And that motherfucker had a piece of his skin hanging off. Cuban woman, you know,
Whoa.
It's worse than an Irish woman.
Whoa.
And the next day, usually when a man leaves your house,
right,
they leave shit just to come back to maybe.
Yeah.
He took everything.
Yeah.
The screwdrivers, his tools. Like
he
there
said,
was
I'm out of here.
Everybody leaves something to come back a week later. I forgot my towel. No, this motherfucker never came back. So when Richard,
I'm done.
When Richard lit himself on fire, I didn't know what to do. Like people were making fun of me. Like your hero lit himself on fire, and I didn't know what to say. It was like I just didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Sunset Strip.
Yeah, he came back.
Came back with Sunset Strip.
He came back. What people don't know about that is that we shot it in 2 nights, right?
The first night he ate a bag of dicks.
First night, so you do know, walked off stage, yeah. And the second night he killed it. But they did have to do some pickups on that. You know, Ray Stark produced it, and he wanted some pickups on that. And but it was good. I mean, he came clean again, you know, talked all about it.
With the red fucking suit?
With the red suit.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. With the red suit. A friend of mine designed that. Yeah.
Well, that was tailor-made to the team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Richard was
custom
smooth.
made. Wasn't he?
He was smooth, man.
Yeah.
And, like, was there anybody black at the time that didn't idolize Richard?
Oh, God.
Jim Brown. You just dropped some names. We're talking about Hollywood Henderson, the Pointer Sisters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just endless.
Well, when he took me over to Sammy's for the first time, I mean, the way Sammy looked at him too. And Sammy was older than him, right? So it was kind of a little father thing going on there, but with such love, with such adoration and amazement too at the same time, kind of, because Richard was doing things that nobody else was doing, really,
Nobody.
But Sammy loved him too. I mean, Sammy was somebody who was always there for him. Yeah.
So you leave, you clean. Now, in the time when you left, how long were you guys separated for?
Well, basically, we were separated. We divorced in '82, and I came back in '94. But I, as I said, we were back and forth a lot. He'd come to New York and call me, and we never really stopped seeing each other, stopped loving each other. I mean, I went on. I had other boyfriends. I tried to have a life without him, but everybody paled in comparison. I mean, nobody could follow Richard on stage or off. Nobody. And I couldn't shake him. I just was madly in love with that man, And I miss him to this day. I talk to him. I'm like, sometimes I'm pissed off. Like, you're supposed to be here, motherfucker. Where are you? Sometimes he visits me. And I feel his presence a lot.
You ever smell him?
I do. I smell him.
Get that old smell back.
Yeah.
Why did he remind you of your dad? You said your dad had my
father, 100% Irish.
Right.
Brilliant lawyer, civil rights attorney, rock on tour, great fucking sense of humor, womanizer, could polish a bottle of whiskey. Very similar man, And my father, had his own demons, He slugged my mother a few times, and my mother had mental illness, and that's a whole other story. But they eventually divorced. But I loved my dad, and I think I learned from my father that you can do bad things, but that doesn't make you a bad man. My father happened to be a great man. I worship him to this day. He did great things for a lot of people. Did he slug my mother? Yeah. Was he a prick sometimes? But he was a good man. And that's what I appreciate most is, people get confused. Well, he hit you, so he's a bad guy. No, sorry. Well, he did drugs. Sorry. No. Richard wasn't a hypocrite. Richard was honest. But Richard was a good person. So these flaws don't make a person a bad person make. They just doesn't. It doesn't.
I didn't know much about Richard, but the thing that struck me, and was he happy? Like just like the documentary, a lot of sadness came through, and it makes me sad that someone who's so funny would be so sad.
Well, I think that you're sitting next to somebody who can talk to that too. I mean, nothing fixes them. Nothing fixes them. I can tell you that on stage is where Richard was like gills on a fish. He lived. I mean, he came alive. He was off stage. He had a hard time knowing how to live life. That's real. Happiness, I think, was very elusive. I think there were moments of joy. Did he understand? The biggest question for me was, did he understand how loved he was? That's the big question. Did he ever feel loved? I know he felt loved by me, but by the masses, by his fans, did he ever feel the impact that he had? And I think that as he sat in the wheelchair as he got older and this disease took more hold of him, the disease of MS, I think that Richard really came to peace, came to acquire a sense of peace about his life and about being appreciated and being loved. I think that maybe was one positive thing about that damn disease, was that it gave him, he didn't have a choice. He was sitting in that damn wheelchair and he had to face himself. He couldn't run away anymore. He couldn't run to the drug, to the whiskey, to the pussy. He couldn't run any more away from it. He had to face So one of the things I think he had to face was that he was loved. But I think he did acquire a sense of peace about his life.
I'm 56 years old, and I think for 3 years I've finally been comfortable living in my skin.
That's what I'm talking about.
And my daughter, that little girl, has really played a big part in me being comfortable in my skin. You know, when I was hooked on the coke, you know, I was booking movies, I was at the Mitzi would give me spots 4 nights a week. But that
nothing to do with
once
happiness.
You get on Fountain and make the left to go home, reality sets in.
Yeah.
You're a fucking loser. Your mother did drugs, you know, your father did drugs, you went to prison, you got a GED, you know, all those things come to play.
That's right.
Never mind what just happened on the stage. Never mind you just ripped that fucking original room to shreds.
That's right.
All those things come back, you know, and then you have to put them into place.
That's right.
For years, I used the drugs to put them into place, you know.
Yeah.
It just, you know, I tell people when I was doing coke, I would go to pee, and I refused to look in the mirror. Yeah. I would not look at myself in the mirror.
Shame.
If I had to walk through the bathroom, I wouldn't look at a mirror because you don't want to see yourself.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line as a comic, and it made me stronger. Getting off the coke.
Of course.
And dealing with that shit. I tell people all the time, you got skeletons. You got to let them out from time to time.
Yeah.
How do I let them out? On that stage.
Yeah.
Did Richard go to a psychiatrist ever?
He was mandated to by the legal system after shooting the car. Dr. Cannon, who's since passed away. I didn't like Dr. Cannon much because he took advantage of Richard. Richard started giving him money for this charity or that charity, and then the okie-doke sets in, right? So no real work is getting done. I go to therapy, and I love it because it's a support system. You get to look at issues in your life, in your work. You get to learn how to navigate them better. You just get it. You know, for me, it's really important to have therapy. And I know what it takes. It takes honesty, and it takes a degree of courage. And I think that Richard just started to buy the shrink, and the shrink went for, you know, it got all fucked up.
But his psychiatry was the stage.
I'm sorry?
His psychiatrist was the stage. Sometimes when I hear his material, that's why I don't go talk to nobody. I want that stage now and this point in my life. I want to go up there and get it all out.
That's exactly
I say everything. I don't give a fuck no more. I was looking for a job when I found this one. When I was 40, I had to be careful about what I said. Not anymore.
Good.
I'm going to retire. You know, I'm going out with this fucking wind. I don't give a Frenchman's fuck.
That's good.
And I'm from the school of Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
That stage.
That's good to hear.
Is your psychiatry.
Yeah.
You know, listen, I'm a fan of Kennison. I'm a fan of Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
You know, I love Andrew. You know, I love, there's a lot of comedians I love. But nobody set the tone for me like Richard. Like, I'm not trying to emulate Richard. I have the same pain.
Oh, I can see that.
Richard has, and that makes me a comic.
Yeah.
Like that pain, getting in touch with it. You live your life going through for years.
That's right.
You don't know what the fuck is bothering you. Richard saw a lot of things that a lot of 7-year-olds
shouldn't see. No.
A lot of 8-year-olds shouldn't see.
No.
That when you're 8 and 9, your world should be Universal City.
Yeah.
You know, Donald Duck.
You should be protected.
Not being outside getting guys to come into your grandmother's thing, you know. While his mom was hooking, his grandma raised him. He had the support system, but I think it was his grandma that really.
Oh, that's a double-edged sword.
That's a double-edged sword.
Double-edged. She was a nurturer, but at the same time, she had a grip that was iron. It was an iron grip.
What was her name again?
Marie Carter.
You met her?
Oh, yeah, I met her.
Mean as a snake?
Oh, mean as a rattlesnake. But I understood her, you know. Listen, she grew up during the Jim Crow era. Come on. She wanted Richard to marry, oh, come on. The black actress. Thank you, Pam Grier.
Pam Grier.
Who Richard would tell me had a golden pussy.
Really?
Said, Richard, I don't need to hear that. she had the best pussy ever. I'm like, okay. And me, angel pussy over here, please. No, she wanted him to marry Pam Grier, and she called me the Bigfoot motherfucker because I'd wear cowboy boots in the house, and she'd hear me. She, you know, I get it. I mean, she sent a maid in once with a 2x4 over my legs, smashed it over my legs, and the bitch got on top of me and started strangling me. housekeeper. She felt I disrespected her.
Who is this fucking housekeeper? Russian chick? She threatened you?
Well, this is another housekeeper. This housekeeper was somebody who worked for John Schlesinger. I was friends with them, John and Michael. And anyway, I had her in the house. And when the grandmother was at the house, she ran it like a whorehouse. I mean, so I disrespected her. Richard and I have been doing coke all night. And Richard said, she started calling on the phone. Son was coming up. He says, tell her we can't take the call. And she thought that was disrespectful. And she sent this woman in with a 2x4, smashed it over my legs, bitch got on top of me, started strangling me. And Richard finally saw, oh, I think she's killing her. And she got this woman off me. And I had some shit to say to the grandmother, but Richard made me leave the house. He said, you have to apologize to the grandmother. So she was someone to be reckoned with. I understood her, though, I really did. Growing up living in that, look what she had to do to survive, to help to support everybody. But she was, when she died, Richard started to come apart. Because it was his own.
It was his clue.
It was the only nurturer he had, really.
How was his relationship with his mom?
Very tortured. She abandoned him. She was alcoholic. She would come and go. But then, of course, he had to choose between the grandmother and the mother. And they put him in court on the witness stand. And he had to choose. And he had to choose the grandmother. You betcha. And he did. But, that was a pain that he never got over. I mean, how can you get over that, right? And the father was a real taskmaster, right? And, of course, he does routines about his dad and how tough he was. Buck was a pimp in the whorehouse.
Buck, yeah.
Yeah, Buck. And, he used to say to me, I'm so glad you didn't meet Buck. He would fuck you in a minute. I'm like, Richard, your father? He goes, oh, yeah.
The second time you went back with him, how long were you? You were together till the end?
Oh, yeah. When I came back in 94, I drove cross country with my 2 dogs and all my shit. And everybody was else, I told you, just taking advantage and living 20 minutes down the freeway. And they were all cussing me out. I said, well, you're 20 minutes down the freeway. Where were you? Where the fuck are you? So I drove cross country and that was the summer of 94. I pulled into his driveway and rented a house right near him. And I made him sign an employment contract because you never knew with Richard, Sometimes he would just upset the apple cart because he could. So I'm like, listen, if I'm giving up my rent-stabilized apartment on Beekman Place, motherfucker, you better give me, some security here. And it took years just to get things in order. And we bought him a house. And I told you I closed the Bank of Pryor so, we could organize it. And then we had to take care of him physically. So it was rehabilitating him financially, physically, and we did the box sets, and I went after Drozen and won that lawsuit, chased him. So I started to organize everything. And as I told you, the people who were smarter than me should have been doing it, and were not.
And they were just going.
Oh no, they were taking what wasn't nailed down.
For the last hour we've spoken about Richard, and I don't like second party, whatever. But there was one other special person in this relationship, and it was you. You're very, very special, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
You are very, very special because they don't make women like you no more. Women see heat now, and there's a divorce box. A little controversy, and there's a divorce. Oh, he called me a cunt. I can't. Yeah. You have to look farther than that. And you had the wisdom that you've seen past the comic and the money and the coke and the limos.
Oh, the party was over when I came back.
Oh, was it?
Oh, well, in that sense. I mean, it wasn't rock and roll anymore, was it? It was hard work now. It was like, let's clean up, let's coalesce the legacy, let's do the hard work now, Richard. You're sick, that's what real love is, isn't it? I mean, that's when the shit hits the fan, the rubber meets the road, man. That's when you find out who the fuck you are and who the fuck you love.
Inside my wedding band, I had initialed till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
That's me and my wife's favorite saying. That's what
It comes from a Bob Dylan song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
And I look at you and I see why I love my wife as much as I do. Because, like I said, women come and go in this fucking life. They come with money. They come with this. You know how hard it is to be a comic's wife? Because at first, you see the comedian on stage. You don't see the guy
that's right.
That's moody.
That's right.
That wakes up in a bad mood.
Oosh.
That doesn't want to talk at night. That doesn't like politics.
That's
that
right.
wants his clothes a certain way and wants his socks a fucking certain way. And I got home yesterday and my wife had the clothes was washed, but it wasn't put away. And for a minute, I said something to her. And I go, "Who the fuck am I to say something to her?" She's fucking fighting with a 6-year-old all fucking day. But I wanted to bring you on because I don't think nobody's had a benefit for you. Nobody's ever given you the credit that you deserve for taking. He would have been dead.
Yeah.
Listen, when he came out of the hospital in '80, that time, to explain to people that don't know what cocaine was in 1980, you know how we've just seen this marijuana revolution.
Exactly.
One day it was a shoe store, now it's a pot store.
Yeah.
Now there's 2 pot stores in the block.
Yeah.
We saw what cocaine did.
Unbelievable.
To a society.
Yes.
And like this, it was like a case of the fucking measles. They said that the plague killed how many people in 19?
Yeah.
The Great Plague. Cocaine was a great plague. And people like Richard, the first time I tried coke was October of '79. Something I was totally against.
Mm-hmm.
Something I was totally against. And one day I went to the basement and I went looking for something and I saw a bale. And I went in the bale, and somebody had left something so my mom could watch. And I took a rock out and put it in a little aluminum foil, and I put it in my desk. I didn't say nothing to nobody for a month. And one day I played hooky with some friends, and I said, "Let me bring the coke with me." And we ended up doing it and sprinkling it in peppermint schnapps and vodka. We were calling them snow cones. And we were drinking it and snorting it. And till this day, I'm still friends with the guy I did it.
Oh, my God.
But not to take that off. 1 minute, people were smoking pot and doing acid.
Yeah.
And the next minute, everybody was doing coke.
Everybody was
And it
strung
was everywhere.
out. Yeah.
And I can't imagine
being
Richard Pryor and people putting it in your hand.
Oh, yeah.
People just putting it in your hand. You're
Yeah.
Richard Pryor.
They were bringing it in the hospital when he was recovering from the fire.
And he was doing it?
Oh, yeah. In the hospital. Yeah. That's real. But he did get sober. He did Here and Now sober.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. He did. So he got out of the hospital June 9th, 1980 was the fire. He got out in about 6 weeks, and he had a handler come and stay with him, a male nurse, to kind of watch him and, but he was like this with the shit, right? And we got back together that Christmas. We went to Hawaii together, and then the following summer we got married. And he was sober then. He actually smoked some weed in Hana at our housewarming we had. We had built a house down there, and he goes, he got paranoid, and I kind of talked him off the ledge, and he said, "You're so good to me. You're just always good to me. Will you marry me?" And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Because I was kind of dating somebody, I was trying to get my feet back on the ground, and I said, all right, okay. We married a week later. Of course, he came back too soon, though. He came back and started doing that dope, and Robin and he started running together and partying, and he was woodshedding for the Live on Sunset, and we moved into Truesdale, rented a house there, so he was close to the store. But he started, doing the coke again, and marriage got rocky, ended, but he got sober eventually, and then did Here and Now sober. But it was always rocky with him. It was just always back and forth.
Guys like him will never be sober.
No,
guys
no.
like me can never be
Yeah,
sober.
yeah.
It's just...
Well,
I'm
you don't
always
do
on the-
coke now, right?
No.
You drink a little.
No drinking. Smoking. Edibles.
Okay.
I'll take a Xanax. You got a Vicodin and pop it. Somebody gave me in Pittsburgh this weekend, somebody gave me a bag of weed. Great guy, Vin. I went back to the hotel. There was 2 Klonopins and
Oh, wow.
4 Fiorentinis.
Whoa.
I looked them up, and they're muscle relaxers, but they got caffeine in them.
Oh, man.
You know, and I put them away.
My drug was Quaaludes, man.
Oh.
Of course, Bill Cosby had all the Quaaludes, didn't he?
Oh.
Fucking
Again,
Bogarty,
people
the
had no
Quaaludes.
idea about that 714
Shit.
Express.
That man. I
loved it.
even tell my shrink, you didn't do a Quaalude? That shit was the bomb.
I got one saved at the house.
Do you?
A little one.
Buy it from you.
I don't know if they'll do it. The guy gave me 3 of them, and I took it one night by myself.
I hear you can still get them.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know how true it is.
No. That's a heavy duty.
At the end, he died clean, though.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh God, yeah. Yeah. He died. Listen, I was so proud of the care that we took of him. He had a feeding tube. Usually, you have a feeding tube for 1 year, and they die from it. 6 years, he had it. And that's how well we took care of him. Because that damn feeding tube, you have to clean it, you have to change it, it is a thing. He was on dialysis the last year of his life. That's really, he died of heart failure, but the kidneys were shot. The kidneys what did it. Yeah.
Jennifer,
A question, because I know he went back to the Comedy Store when he had his disease. I'm kind of curious about what the process was, what made him want to go back to the Comedy Store, and then how the reaction was. What was he doing at the Comedy Store? I'm curious if, Joey, you saw him when he was at the
No, I saw him. He was done already. Mm-hmm. When I saw him, he was...
Yeah, but he wanted to go back.
He was in the wheelchair.
It was his idea. It was his wheelchair, and
In '96, he was doing spots.
95, 96.
He was doing spots because I was living in
filmed
Seattle and coming down, and I would never even go to the store. Like Pryor's there, I'm like, I'm not even going to go down there.
Oh, I wish you did.
I couldn't.
I filmed it. We've got it on film, and some of it is good. But again, I'm repeating myself now, but it was heroic and tragic at the same time. Both. It was both brave of him to want to do that and also tragic because he's not the predator stalking the stage anymore, that great, powerful, wonderful energy that he had in spirit. So you saw him compromised, obviously, very compromised with the illness. But the fact that he still wanted to do it said so much to me about what kind of man Richard was. And he still was funny. I mean, he got a lot of funny shit in there too. It wasn't just, sitting up there, but he would hold this martini glass and I don't know how he never spilled it. It was an art holding that glass with the martini full to the rim, and a cigarette in one hand, and doing his thing. It was beautiful. I know it makes you sad to think of, but on one hand, it was a thing of beauty that's where he wanted to be.
No, I'm not sad about it. It's balls.
People
that just added to the Richard Pryor,
exactly.
the legend of balls.
People would say to me, how can you let him do that? I said, whoa, get it straight here. I'm not letting him do or not letting him do. Richard wants to do this, period. We're doing it. Instead of hiding in a closet somewhere, come on. We're supposed to hide. He wanted to go out all the time. He'd go to the movies. He'd go to, we'd go out to dinner. We'd go to places. We'd go to events. We always went to the Schlatter stuff, the comedy awards, always going out there, always.
I heard a funny story about Richard. I heard that towards the end, he went up to the store one night in a wheelchair, and there was a funny black comic up at the store at the time. And he called him over, and the guy thought, I'm the next Richard. And Richard looked at him, said, get close. And when the guy got done, he goes, stop doing my shit. I don't know if it's true.
That's interesting.
I'm not going to mention no names, but I heard even at the end,
he
was that sharp.
Yeah.
He took the comic, came over and yeah, Richard, what's up?
Yeah, what's up?
Stop doing more shit.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. I just heard a Robin story that was interesting. Howie Mandel told the director this. It didn't make it in the documentary. I wish it had. He said that he went to the store one night and he saw Richard doing this routine. God comes to visit and asks Richard if he can speak to Robert Kennedy. Sorry, God, he was killed. Well, Jack, the brother, oh no, well, he was killed too. Well, Martin Luther King. Oh, sorry, God. Malcolm X. No, I'm sorry. You could hear a pin drop. That's what Richard's genius was too. He didn't always have to be funny. And that's something to remember too as comics. You don't always fucking have to be funny. Hannah Gadsby, the new girl, that new girl comic, female comic.
Yes.
She's breaking some molds too that I think are very interesting. Same kind of thing. You don't always have to be funny. But so Howie runs into Richard on a plane. He says, Richard, that routine where God's asking you to speak to all these dead people, why'd you stop doing that? That way you had everybody mesmerized. He said, because Robin started doing it.
It's a true story.
It's a true story.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
Jennifer, you always got a home here.
Thank you. I've
Always.
enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed you.
Listen.
You made me go through a roller coaster of emotions.
This is good.
I was, like I said, there's just some people that I never wanted to really meet because I loved them so much. I would fall apart. You know, when I saw Richard, I fell apart. When Muhammad Ali's daughter said Muhammad was on his way to the Comedy Store, I got in my car and I peeled the fuck out of there because I did not want to. Wow. But Richard's one of those people that if it wasn't for Richard, I wouldn't be in this office.
Well, I can say you got some of his DNA.
Yeah,
I can say that. Yeah, I appreciate that in you.
I appreciate you. Real quick, if you want to watch a new documentary, I Am Richard Pryor, visit IamRichardPryor.com where you can stream or download it. Visit RichardPryor.com for news, official merchandise, and to listen to his classic albums. Also, visit PryorsPlanet.com if you'd like to donate to help save lives, provide sanctuary, and make a world better place for animals. He was an animal guy?
Oh, yeah.
No shit.
Oh, yeah. He was glad I didn't have kids. He said, we have dogs. That's good.
And visit rockandpins.com for your official Richard Pryor pins. They also have Lee pins, Joey Diaz pins.
That's right.
Everybody pins up there. Jennifer, I don't know what to say to you. I love you with all my heart.
Hey, I love you too. I appreciate you having me.
Very much. And like I said, if you ever just bored and you want to talk some Richard stuff.
All right. I love to talk about Richard.
Yeah, me too. I love all this shit because I know you have 10 more hours in you.
Oh.
And there's 2 hours that you don't even remember. I got to give you a couple martinis for you to go, oh my God, there was another time when he told Warren Beatty to suck his dick.
Exactly.
I love you. Thank you very much. Mauricio Alvarado, thank you very much. All right, I want to thank Jennifer Pryor. I want to thank fucking the Christ Killer. I want to thank Mauricio for coming out from Rockin' Pins. But most importantly, I want to thank you guys for having our back every fucking week. Don't forget, Friday, all I got left for the rest of the year for right now is April 420, the second show, Milwaukee. I'll let you guys know what's going on next week. But for right now, all I got is 420, the second show in Milwaukee. We got some dates in June 8th and 9th. Dallas and San Antonio got rescheduled. We also got Columbus at the end of June. We got nothing in May so far because I'll be in New York shooting a movie the next 2 months. I'll be back and forth there. Lee'll be running things. But don't worry about nothing. I got you, motherfuckers. Besides that, I want to thank our sponsors. Let me ask you guys a question. Have you ever looked at a photo of yourself from 5 years ago? Some things get better with age. Wine, for example, a nice single malt scotch. Unfortunately, this is not the case when it comes to your skin and especially your face. I mean, I'm no Jack Lambert myself, you know what I'm saying? Most guys don't nearly do enough for their skin, despite all it does for them. Soap and water are just not enough to prevent aging. But there is something you could do in the fight against aging, and it's staring you right in the face. You ready for this? 4hims.com, a one-stop shop for skincare, hair loss, and sexual wellness for men. Hims anti-aging kits, a custom prescription cream tailored to your skin that can keep your skin looking beautiful and youthful, smooth by reducing the appearance of wrinkles and fine lines. Listen, the secret's not a secret. It's tretinoin, and the results are backed by science. It can renew and restore skin by increasing collagen, the protein that keeps your skin firm. It takes seconds to apply, and it's the same treatment celebrities use to help keep their faces looking young. Now, Hims connects you with doctors online who will evaluate your skin needs and can prescribe you a custom anti-aging treatment. All you need to do is take a couple pictures, answer some questions. No more awkward in-person doctor visits. These products are shipped directly to your door. Now, it's your skin. Do you want to be an A face in the crowd or just a face in the crowd? Order now and save $20 off your first month of Hims Anti-Aging Kit. Lock in those looks now and get your first month of anti-aging for $20 off. See website for full details and safety information. Go to forhims.com/JoeySC. That's forhim.com/JoeySC. Again, that's forhims.com/JoeySC. Let me explain something to you. Summertime is coming. You're going to be going to parties, and your balls are going to stink because you're fucking sweating. That don't need to happen, all right? There's a company called Manscaped.com, and they got the answers to your problems. Don't cut your dick off, fucko. The suffering ends today. You don't know how many times my wife's been trimming my fucking nutsack or around my fucking party pole, and the next thing you know, I'm fucking sweating bullets and I'm red. Those days are over with. Manscaped can get it done without the pain, the anxiety, the frustration. They got precision tools for the family jewels. Manscaped has redesigned the electric razor. Their invention, you ready for this one? The Lawn Mower is a handheld razor with skin-safe technology, so it won't nick or snag your sack or your fucking party pole. Listen, you got to go easy on what the Lord gave you. You know what I'm saying? This bad boy will leave you clean, smooth, and pain-free, and no anxiety. Plus, it's rechargeable and easy to hold. Get into all those nooks and crannies by your asshole, your nutsack, underneath in the stink zone. That's a little piece of skin between your nutsack and your asshole. You got that skin zone. It smells like 10 dead fucking bodies. You don't need that no more. Manscaped is there to help you. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. If you trim the hedges, the tree will look fucking taller. What are you waiting for? Trim up that fucking egg roll. It's the first time you've considered manscaping. They got a deal for you. The perfect package comes with a lawnmower and a safety razor plus. The crop preserver, especially the formulated deodorant, so your balls don't stink. And they have the Reviver, a spritz that tones and refreshes your junk to keep it nice and cool. Listen, Manscaped got you covered when it comes to your fucking dick, your nut sacks. They even got a ball wipe. You understand me? That's how good fucking Manscaped is. So do me a favor. Listeners, the church family can get 20% off your first order when you use code CHURCH, CHURCH, at manscaped.com. And if you order the perfect package, forget about it. They'll throw in a free travel bag for you when you use the code CHURCH, and that bag covers everything. You got everything in there. You got your fucking, your crop preserver, your revive. I mean, listen, you can put everything in there. You'll be prepared if you travel. Your nuts will still be fucking as clean as if you were home. Now, do me a favor. If you order the perfect package, they'll throw in that free travel bag when you use code CHURCH. That's manscaped.com. Use promo code CHURCH for 20% off your first order. And do me a favor. This is how you keep your balls clean. I want to thank Manscaped. I want to thank Hims. I want to thank all you motherfuckers. But most importantly, I want to thank the listeners for keeping us here and for letting us fucking spread our word every week. Don't forget, 422nd show in Milwaukee at the Pabst Theater. And that's it. We're fucking done here. Have a great fucking rest of the week. We'll be back on Thursday. And that's it and that's that. Lee, kick this motherfucking meal.